Hello, I'm JW. This video is somewhat unusual for this channel in that it's about an electric vehicle. I don't normally do videos on those, so you won't be finding too many of those on this channel in other places. So what we're looking at today is how to actually drive an electric car or an electric van, as this particular one is. No particular difference between those, it's just one is a bit bigger than the other. Now, the most important thing about electric vehicles is that 99% of them is exactly the same as in any other vehicle, whether it's petrol or diesel or any other fuel. So 99% of the controls in it are exactly the same. And of course, yes, electric vehicles do have things like air conditioning and heating, and they have all the usual stuff like electric windows and sat-nav and seat belts and all the other things that cars have had pretty much forever. So no real change to any of that. Because there are some differences, and let's have a look at the pedals first of all. Now, if you've ever driven an automatic transmission vehicle, this should look fairly familiar. Just got two pedals here because electric cars don't have a clutch, so there's no clutch pedal, and they don't have a gearbox either for that matter. So two pedals here. On the right there is the accelerator, and on the left there is the brake. And you use your right foot for both of those, so it's just either on the accelerator there or on the brake. You do not attempt to use one foot on each pedal because that is extremely dangerous, and you don't do that in an automatic transmission vehicle either. So just one foot there. Left foot just goes up on that sort of ledge or whatever else on the left side there. Now, the other major difference is the direction you're going to be driving in. Now, this particular vehicle has this sort of nub thing in the middle here, and you've got three choices in the middle. R, which is for reverse, obviously going backwards. Neutral, which means that if you just took off the brake, it would just roll out of control and crash somewhere. And then D for driving, as in driving forward. And of course, that's what you're going to use most of the time. The other two at the top and bottom there, P is when you're parked. So it basically locks the transmission in place so it doesn't roll away. And then B at the bottom is used in conjunction with driving. And what that actually does is applies some additional braking, so that if you take your foot off the accelerator, it actually uses the electric motor as a brake to slow the vehicle down quite considerably. And that also puts energy back into the battery as well, so that you're basically recharging the battery as you're slowing down. That's quite a useful feature to have, and it's also called one-pedal driving by some manufacturers, or e-pedal by others, and various other names. So most of the time on that you can actually use just the accelerator to go driving, so press down to go faster and then just ease off to basically slow down and brake. Some vehicles will actually stop completely if you take your foot off the accelerator. This particular van doesn't because of its particular design, so you do have to use the brake there. But of course, if there's some kind of emergency, you can obviously use the brake as well. Brakes are exactly the same as in any other vehicle, so it doesn't necessarily have to use the electric motor if you want to stop suddenly. Now, the only time you might not want to use the B option is if you say on a motorway or something where you're going at a fairly high speed. You don't necessarily want to just move your foot slightly for whatever reason and suddenly slow down by 10 miles an hour and cause a crash or something. So not necessarily useful everywhere, but certainly handy in the town and other places. Now, in terms of actually starting the vehicle to go driving, then you're going to have some kind of fob or key thing like this to obviously get in the vehicle. And most vehicles now have just a button or something for starting, so you just obviously press that as appropriate. This particular vehicle, for some reason, has an actual key. I put in a keyhole, but whatever, it doesn't really make a huge load of difference. There's basically a couple of positions here. This is two turns of a key, others obviously has a button and so on. But if you turn the key to the on position, basically that just starts all of the electrical stuff in the vehicle. So you can obviously then illuminate the gauges and things in the dashboard, and it turns on the sat-nav and all the other stuff. So you can obviously use all of that. Now, to actually get going and actually start ready for driving, the first thing you need to do is put your foot onto the brake pedal. This is very similar to an automatic transmission vehicle. It's basically so that it knows you're actually there and in control of the vehicle, and if there was some issue where it started moving suddenly, or obviously foot's on the brake, so that's more of a safety item. So it's foot on the brake, and then this one you turn the key, or you just press a button, and then there's a chime there which indicates that it's now on and we're ready to drive. And on the dashboard you'll see that that ready symbol has come on the right hand side there. Again, that's going to vary depending on different particular vehicles. This is a Stellantis vehicle, so that's the setup that you'll get in those, but obviously other vehicles will be slightly different. Now, have a look at the central console here. You'll see that the P indicator is illuminated because obviously that's in parking mode, and obviously that's like the default setting. We'll also see that the parking brake is on, because of course we're not actually going anywhere. Now, this has an electric parking brake like most vehicles do. This will actually release automatically when you press the accelerator, so you don't have to actually press it down to release manually, though you can do that if you want. And when you get to the end of driving, you just pull up on that lever to put the brake on. Some vehicles inexplicably still do have a mechanical handle you have to pull up with a button on the end, but obviously if it's got one of them, you're going to have to do it manually every time. No idea why manufacturers are still making those, pointless and unnecessary. So to actually get driving now, we need to put our foot onto the brake pedal. It's still there in this particular case, and then we just move the selector to the D position. In this case we're going to turn on the B as well, because that gives us that additional braking, and we take our foot off of the accelerator pedal. We're in an urban area here, not going to be driving at any high speed. And then all we need to do to get going is just to remove our foot from the brake. Doesn't have to go anywhere because parking brake's on, and then we just need to press the accelerator, which will release the brake and then obviously get us moving down the road. So let's obviously do that. I'm just going to make sure we're not going to be crashing into anybody around. So the brake has released, and then we're obviously off and driving. Now we're already up to about 30 miles an hour there. Now let's drive around here. This is Bournemouth basically, so not a lot of people around here at the moment because it's fairly dull weather. It's actually March 2022, so once you're actually going, basically it's just press the accelerator to go faster, and if you let off of the pedal then it will slow down fairly considerably there. I'm not do that too many times, obviously you've got a bit of people on the road being annoyed, so that's pretty much it. So there's no gears or anything to select, and it's not like an automatic transmission, petrol or diesel, where it does actually change up through the gears, because it doesn't have any gears. So if you want to go to 70 miles an hour, you just keep pressing on the pedal until you get to that speed. All that's happening is the electric motor is just going faster as the car is going faster, so nothing too mysterious about that. Now when it comes to obviously slowing down and stopping, again there's not really much involved there. We're going to be turning right here, so I'm just putting on the indicator, and in terms of slowing down we're just going to ease off of the accelerator there, which will slow down fairly considerably. If you wanted to stop completely, then we can just press on the brake pedal. Don't have to do anything else. If you press the pedal fully, then it will actually stop completely. No other actions required, just leave it in D all the time. We're now going to get one of the worst roads in Bournemouth, which is full of lumps and holes, so yes, good luck with that. The houses up here cost like £1 million, and the road is in a shabby state, so there you go. Now we're just going to run here back to basically where we started, and then we'll be stopping. Now we're going downhill here, so we're actually basically recharging the battery there. Slow us down there quite considerably. There was no brake needed there. Now we're back on the flat along this basically the same road that we started on. So in terms of stopping, we just have to basically ease off of the accelerator there, and we'll just pull in here. Now this vehicle will actually keep creeping forward, so we're now down to about 10 miles an hour, and that's basically it. So we're still going to roll forward, so we just need to obviously press on the brake pedal lightly there to stop. Now if we're at traffic lights or whatever, we're just holding it on the pedal on the floor at the moment with the brake. If we actually release that, then it will just creep forward like that. So we'll just put the brake on again so we don't crash into the thing in front. However, if you're going to be any traffic lights for any length of time, it's a good idea just to use the parking brake, so just put that on there, and then you can release your foot from the pedal, and then we can just basically sit here for an unlimited amount of time. It's just the same state we were in when we basically started. So if you want to move off again, it's just press the accelerator, that parking brake will be released, and off you go. And the main difference there is that if you're sitting there with your foot on the brake pedal, the brake lights at the back are on, and if it's night time you're blinding everybody sitting behind you, whereas if you're using the parking brake, of course, that's not happening. But that's pretty much that. Now, of course, the only other thing is charging, and basically this is going to happen whenever you're parked, whether that's at home or at work or at the supermarket or the gym or any other place. So let's just see how long that takes. So we're parked up here, so we're just going to open the cover here on the charging hole, and got the cable, just going to plug the cable in there. Obviously we're not going to stand around here waiting for it, so charging takes just a few seconds of putting the plug into the hole. And of course when we come out later on in the next day or whatever, it's going to be unplugging that and sticking it back on the holder. So charging takes, well, 30 seconds being generous. That's pretty much it. And that's also it for this video. So until next time, thanks for watching.